Hello, Jared.
Word.
There you go, people. I'm going to be quiet for a second. You can just kind of lean into this one.
What's really no news day? I mean, really hadn't been any kind of newsworthy stories pop out.
No. And the debatable GOAT of all time, what was he doing today?
I think he was touring Barcelona, maybe. Maybe he was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I heard he was he's keeping his options open, it sounds like.
Well, as usual, we're rolling in with a little theme music today. And today, I kicked us off with the song called Messi from Elanco.
Elanco.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't have got that right.
I know. I probably got it wrong. Zach will probably correct us the next episode.
Elanco.
Yeah, so we're back with another episode. I figured we just jump right into probably the news of
our sports, of our football with our feet, sporting history in our country, maybe?
For MLS, for sure. Undeniable. If the rumors are true, all day long here on, Tuesday, June 7th, correct?
Yeah, that's what I got. Wednesday.
Wednesday, June 7th.
Wednesday.
Virtually every news outlet in the world that cares about soccer, doesn't care about soccer. In fact, I guarantee the Wall Street Journal probably is picking it up, is reporting on the fact that it looks like a done deal that Lionel Messi, the Argentinian GOAT, has cut a deal with MLS.
Wow. And I'm ashamed to say that immediately when I thought I heard what was coming, and I was busy at work, so I didn't have a whole hell of a lot of time to just flat out, really search the internet. But I did sneak away and take a look. I immediately got on SeatGeek. And July 15th.
Oh, yeah.
Inter Miami is coming down to market. And everywhere I can see, the ticket prices were shot up. Where I'm at, they're like $850 to $1,000 already, which the week of, if he ends up playing, I can't even imagine it. But they're saying, and who knows who's right and what's going on, but they're saying debut is July 21st, 6 days post our match in a Leagues Cup match.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few people that are kind of close to the league as well that, aren't journalists that said, nah, this deal, when he plays, if he plays, it won't be till the end of July at the earliest. There's a couple other things he has on his calendar that'll take precedence. So, in enthusiastic style, the St. Louis fandom and the season ticket holders, frankly, the capitalists that I love and respect.
Soccer fan second, capitalist first.
Yeah, they took advantage of the situation. A few made some deals, but all winds of change are pointing in the direction of he will not play in that game here.
So, if you're stating that you're a capitalist first, soccer fan second,
sure,
and you have 5 tickets in a pretty appetizing spot in that stadium, and you sell them for $850 today, tomorrow, yesterday, a piece. And if he doesn't play in that game, which like we've already mentioned, it sounds like he won't. Do you feel bad?
Yeah, I mean, next question.
Okay.
No, it's here's my thing about it. I put a post out. I don't know. There's so many platforms. I forget. But my comment was simply, basically, if this deal is a done deal, then I change my vote for GOAT to Messi if he doesn't take Saudi Arabian money, and looks like he's coming the way of MLS, David Beckham and the group down there, and the stories I'm hearing that are kind of like maybe one ring closer to the center, they're saying that. If it wasn't for the role of Apple TV, Apple Plus, and Adidas specifically, the two of them stepping up to the table to make this more of a long-term relationship, a long-term deal.
Financially.
Yeah, because, all the reports coming out of the Middle East, OPEC, I'm just going to start calling that late league OPEC.
Okay.
He was looking at 2
See what
years.
you're doing?
2 years, 1.2 billion, 600 million a year.
Quick Google search. His net worth is currently worth 600 million.
Right.
If he goes to Saudi Arabia with those numbers for 2 years, or if he comes here for 5 years, I don't know how that works. I don't know who's measuring the net worth, but I'm pretty sure his net worth is substantially higher going the Middle Eastern route than coming to the southeastern route of the United States.
I don't think so, and I think this is an economics equation. You watch the movie Air, right? Mm-hmm. The lore and the reality behind what Jordan, the deal that Nike made with Jordan,
His mom,
her role in that process, but really that long-term skin in the game, that
royalties,
equity, for life, right?
Yep.
I think, and knowing enough about Apple as a company and how they incentivize employees, I mean, their thing too is always equity. It's about stock. It's about long term. So when you look at those kind of models, and Adidas being the primary sponsor partner of the league, having Adidas step up and Apple potentially offering him, and nobody really knows the details, but this rumor came from multiple sources independently, he's going to be getting a cut of all of it for a long, long, long time.
Well, that's the only way it makes sense financially for him to pick one or the other, because at some point, if he has a capitalistic bone in his body, he ain't picking it here if what you're saying is not involved. All that stuff aside, only speculation. We could sit here and talk for hours, but for a couple of minutes, what does this freaking do for our game domestically in our league?
I think you're looking at, the timing is perfect for a lot of different reasons, in my opinion. You have, for us here locally, let's just look at it. We have a new team that is first in the West. Mm-hmm. You've got youth soccer at the ECNL and the academy level blowing up everywhere. Right now we have the highest number of American expats playing at the highest level in Europe. We're looking at the next World Cup, right?
In North America?
Here. So, I mean, is there, if he gets into the league and he really embeds himself and he really engages with the fans, with the communities, and becomes a true partner of the league, as opposed to just kind of a leech off of the revenue streams, could you have a few, better ambassadors than a David Beckham and a Messi coming out of Miami as part of the league, kind of representing that angle of it? The answer is no.
No. I mean, is the short answer, and the long answer, no.
Yeah, no. It's one of those things that, a year ago or so was whenever the rumors started, because everybody knew that the PSG deal, it was never going to be renewed. He's passed, Barcelona has gone young. They're not the kind of club that issues the legacy contract like in baseball or other sports. So you knew he was going to go elsewhere.
And for me, I thought it was Saudi Arabia.
Well, I think, I saw an article, or maybe it was on TV, Squawk Box in the morning. They were talking about Saudi Arabian government and the organizations that are close to these sports leagues, the soccer league, Live Golf, everything else. They've stated publicly within their plans to spend between $20 and $40 billion over the next 3 to 5 years to accumulate more sporting period.
Stars, yeah.
So this is golf. You just, we all saw the headlines of, the PGA blinked. They gave in, they merged. Now you have all these players going to Saudi Arabia like Ronaldo. Conte has offered 2 years, $100 million a year.
That's unbelievable.
Like, I love the guy. He's a Chelsea loyalist. He's one of my favorite players of all time. That's a dumb deal. Just not for him, not for his agent, not for his family, but $100 million for him. No, the value is not justified.
I can't even. What's funny to me, and just to go off a complete tangent, is how the PGA was running down this road for the last year and a half, 2 years about the human rights issue in Saudi Arabia. Where are they talking about human rights now?
No, I mean, look,
it's ludicrous.
They went hypocrite. They went for the money. And I wish they would have stood their ground, because I thought, at this particular time and place we do, where we always are, so stressed out and passing judgment and debating and arguing. There should be certain things that we should all be able to agree upon. Mm-hmm. The Saudi Arabian government is not a friendly government. They can spend money on anything at any time, and it affects every single living human in the world.
Absolutely. In their history, which is relevant to the United States, is not a good one. And this is not a political show, but we don't need, if anybody's living on this side of the turf, they kind of know from the history books what Saudi Arabia and their role in history with us directly.
Yeah. So to avoid going down that rabbit hole, I'm just going to surmise it this way. Messi is now on air. I'm going to say it. He is the GOAT. He is the GOAT in my opinion. My opinion has shifted. I was in the Ronaldo camp for the longest time, purely based upon my preferred style of player, plus his cups, plus everything else. But Messi adds a World Cup to the mix, and now at a tipping point in which money, typically persuades these types of decisions. Now, we don't know the details of the deal. It might be worth $10 billion. I don't care. He's not taking Saudi Arabian money. He's my GOAT.
What is? I'm just interested. What does your 9-year-old Maxwell say? Has he?
Haven't talked to him yet.
I can't wait to get his impression. What is a 9-year-old guy that eats, breathes, sleeps soccer in this country? The youth you were talking about. What is his impression?
No, I think that question is going to be a valid question, and the enamored state of all these kids that play soccer, that play FIFA. Mm-hmm. The esports side of things, their god, their idol is now going to be playing 34 games a year minimum.
Within 200 miles of a stadium coming near to you.
Correct.
So I should know this with being on a soccer podcast. And I don't know this, and this is gonna show my ignorance. Can Messi speak English?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's not speaking Arabian.
Yeah, he's not doing
that. I can tell you that. So
I'm going to send him some Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, compliments of Soccer Dad Pod. We'll give you. Actually, why don't we start with the free Duolingo version?
Yeah,
and then if he's appreciative, we'll upgrade it to the premium package.
I'm gonna text. I'm gonna find him on Twitter and just be like, "Would you like to discuss the terms of this deal on the Soccer Dad Pod?"
We will learn Spanish.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on.
So we kicked off straight into the news because that's the biggest news in soccer in a long, long time. Quick recap. Last few shows have just been hammers. We're getting tremendous feedback about our last handful of guests, from Pat Noonan. We've had Caden Glover's dad, Jason, came on talking about his club and process. We had Hall of Famer DeMarcus Beasley come on. They just told some fun stories. We didn't get in the weeds. We kicked around, tested the new concept, Soccer Mom Sunday, with my wife Kim, 2 M's, her sister Lindsay, and it was one of those things where, for families that are new to the game, new to the clubs, or kids that are maybe struggling or maybe even thriving, it was one of those conversations that everybody that has reached out, they're like, "That's me," or "That helped," and it was fun. So we're going to do more of those sporadically.
I like the Derek Burton episode. I mean, that dude,
oh yeah, Derek.
Back to the success that he's had with that program and the way he came off with his, he was very calm. He was well-spoken. There's if anybody was wondering why he has had the success that he has had, listen to the episode, because that dude's an ace.
Yeah.
And that was a very informative episode, and I liked his take on things.
Well, so here's the thing. That's a great transition, because Derek laid out, with his program, the Division I women's program over at SIUE, he talked a lot about player characteristics, styles, things that he looks for off the field as well as on the field, leading up to the potential of a college career. Today's guest, I have a feeling, is going to give us some of that insight as well, because we've got a Hoosier coming on here, and he's the St. Louis Hoosier, but now he's living in Bloomington, and this is going to be another fun one.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, because his accolades have just been out of this park. I mean,
yeah. So stick around, because we're going to be talking to like I said, a Hoosier from St. Louis that had a chance at $1 million, didn't quite get it, but it was the coolest thing on TV in a while. We're going to be talking about the TST tournament, and we will be back in just a second. We're going to roll out with some more of our Messi Encanto. El Canto. I don't know. We'll get it right next time. Here we go.
The term staycation was really invented by soccer moms. Located 1 hour and 7 minutes from the Arch, the Music Box Chalet at Innsbruck is a hidden gem. Buried in 3 acres of private woods, the Music Box has a master suite for just you, a loft and second bath for them, and a vinyl collection to meet your every mood. The full-size kitchen will easily accommodate 3 to 12 bottles of rosé, while the huge fire pit seating area will keep the big kids busy. Golf, fishing, kayaking, pickleball, or simply reading a book with Mother Nature, all at your fingertips. Visit either VRBO or Airbnb to find the Music Box Chalet. And now, back to those guys.
And we're back. Jared, you ready for this?
Born ready. This is my guy.
Yeah, we've got our other carpool co-host who's out doing life things with family from the car. Decided he was going to dial in today on the road. I love the dedication. You know, it's like when you're in the off season, he's still getting up and running, kind of thing. Decided I'm not missing it. So Zach Lewis, how you doing, Zach?
Doing good, guys. On the road in Macon, on our way back from Kirksville for our daughter's orientation at Truman State. So I'm glad I could make it and excited to talk to our guest.
All right. Speaking of our guest, as I mentioned before the break, we've got an STL Hoosier, a true STL Hoosier on the line. You know, and we're not trying to be farcical here. We're literally taking primary descriptors of his life. And in true Soccer Dad Pod, I messed up the name of our own show, Soccer Dad Pod style, we're going to bring back the walk-up tune. So here we go. All right. Today, we have, and it actually just occurred to me, for those of you listening, song today, it's called Indianapolis, written by a band from DeSoto, Missouri. So we have St. Louis Hoosiers that actually wrote the song Indianapolis for our guest today, Mr. Kevin Robson from the Indiana University. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. This is the pinnacle of podcast, I think, these days. So appreciate you guys asking me to be on here.
Finally, somebody is recognizing our worth around here.
Well, that was awful nice of him.
It was very nice.
It was. I want you guys to throw me some softballs, I think.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we're offering Messi Duolingo in English just in case you need something to sweeten your package too. So.
Yep. Our people is contacting them people, and we're going to send him the English version, updated edition of Rosetta Stone, because we don't think he speaks English.
I don't know what you guys are asking me today or what we're getting into, but we got some heavy things going on with the PGA Tour and Live and Messi joining MLS today, so we can go all over the map here, I think.
Well, I tell you what, let's just go right there because that's the map we just left before you came on. We were talking about me personally. It's no secret within my circle of friends, soccer friends, I've always been a Ronaldo guy. I just stylistically, I just liked him as a player better. I kind of liked his attitude a little bit better. I don't know. There was something about him that I preferred. And, you know, so the debate for me was always like, I'm going to give Ronaldo a +1. So, you know, back in December, whenever Messi walks away with the World Cup, okay, now I'm giving him a +0.2. But we were talking earlier, he avoided the OPEC money. And decided to come stateside. So now he's a +1 on my side. So what's your gut reaction now? Obviously, you are neck deep in the world of soccer. What was your initial thoughts when you saw that headline come across Twitter today?
It was awesome. I mean, I was so excited to have a guy like that come to the MLS. I mean, he's still obviously, maybe a little bit on the back nine a little bit here, but man, he's going to be such a draw and just fill up stadiums left and right. And he's still messy, man. And he's going to have a big impact, and hopefully he doesn't do it too bad to our St. Louis boys, but hopefully he has a good impact around the rest of the league. But he will.
Well, for you, because I think your word goes a long way with your standing in the game. Speak to what does he do to our American game here with our American league? What does he bring? I mean, other than we don't need to talk about the player. I mean, how does he impact this game for you here in our country?
Yeah, I mean, I just think he brings a creativity and a guy that can play in a phone booth better than anybody in the world, in my opinion, and a guy that can just, like I said, unbalance a defense at any point, and unlike anybody else in the world, like I said. And I think that's a guy that when he gets into a stadium, you're going to know exactly where he's at, and that's maybe something that the MLS is missing just a touch, is a guy that just brings that type of energy and that type of game to an MLS arena.
So let me ask you your personal preference, or maybe your opinion, because you were a teenager whenever MLS was born. Well, maybe even a little bit younger than that. So you're fully cognizant of all of the players, specifically those that were in, you said he's on the back nine. I think that's a great descriptor of this particular transaction, because historically what we've got was somebody in the bottom of the ninth. If we're going to switch analogies here. The early days, those European signings, and frankly, even Beckham at the time, because of everything that he had exited out of. Over the years, when you look at all of those names, do any of them even come close to Messi at this point in his career value play?
At 35.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I mean, and he's 35 is, I don't think that's too old. I mean, like I said, I think it's a little bit, maybe a touch past his prime, but not crazy. I mean, I think to answer your question, no, I don't think there's been a transaction this big in the history of our league. And to say that, with the league where it's at, especially for us, us St. Louisans, what a great time to be in this league. And the MLS just keeps getting better. And for a guy like Messi to want to finish, maybe not finish up, maybe he's got another contract after this, to want to make his mark in America is, massive day for U.S. soccer and the MLS.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's kind of goes so much further beyond the financial impact. You mentioned it out of the gate. The stadiums are going to fill up quicker. Jersey sales are going to go through the roof. All of these things economically are going to benefit the league. The television package is going to get better. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we were talking earlier that the
youth game is going to grow. Yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to grow even more. How can it grow even more? It's going to. Yeah,
and I think that the immeasurable aspect of this whole thing is the youth impact. Like how many kids now, specifically that come from more urban environments, kids that are from neighborhoods or communities that are typically Big Four based, specifically NBA, football, etc. Yeah. Now you have legitimately a top 5 Instagram influencer, TikTok influencer. I mean, in the world of sport, pop sport, there's very, very few bigger. So are you looking, what do you think will happen in, again, more the urban metro markets? Do you think that he's going to have more of an impact there, or is this just kind of a general impact?
I definitely think it's both. I think he is going to have an impact on younger kids that maybe, are deciding between football or soccer or basketball, even in the urban areas. But I think soccer is, I think those players in those areas now are just going to be more are going to be drawn more to MLS markets, like, you know, in MLS arenas like that we've talked about. But I think players playing multiple sports is so critical. And I mean, I know that's, you know, that might be an unpopular opinion or even a popular opinion. I'm not sure, but players that at young ages play baseball, football, soccer. I know you might have to choose between football and soccer because they're relatively in the same season. But if you're able to play basketball, soccer, baseball, I think that is such a big time advantage for those young kids in those areas. And like I said, I think soccer will be them seeing Messi will maybe you know, drag them into soccer a little bit quicker.
Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I got a more tactical question for you. So Barcelona kind of built their team around the style of play for Messi as he matured in that system under Pep and later. And I'm curious that how do you think Miami could build around a player like that in that false nine who doesn't ever come back on defense and really requires getting the ball up top? So I'm just curious from a tactical standpoint how you think he's going to do in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking, you know, I talk about the league a lot with people, you know, within my kind of circle, I guess. And first, I'll give a ton of credit to St. Louis and how they built it right now. I mean, at times, you know, people might be like, it's maybe not the most stylistically pleasing, you know, way to play the way they, you know, but they're not the way that they've built it. And they have a strict identity, I think has been really cool to watch. And so much credit to what they've done and how quickly they've, you know, gotten off to the right foot. I think they're in first place right now, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah,
so to be able to build a team around, you know, the way you want to play is so critical. So, you know, to be able to implement a guy like Messi within a team could be a little tricky, right? I mean, if you put Messi into St. Louis right now, of course, we'd probably all take him. But, like, is that going to help St. Louis? I don't know necessarily in terms of results.
right.
Just because is he going to do the work that Peter Stroud's done, the work that, you know, Giacchini's done, you know, all these guys in St. Louis that are so bought into what they're trying to do. So in Miami, hopefully they have the right players around him that will do some of that grunt work to be able to allow him to be almost a free player at times. But or you get players that are at, you know, that can combine with him in the final third and be able to produce goals. But
yeah,
it's got, you know, the way we build things here at IU and what I've seen with St. Louis, I think there's a lot of similarities and I think you got to have a true identity. And like I said, I haven't seen enough of Miami to see what they're about, but I'll be really intrigued to see if Messi can really lead them, you know, to results in a league that it's tough to get results.
yeah.
What I want to follow up on that real quick, and then go ahead, Jared. But because what I wanted to point out, you were talking about team style, St. Louis' style in particular. You know, your buddy, our buddy, ex-guest, Pat and his team there in Cincinnati, same thing. You know, it's very stylistically driven. And I don't think it's ironic or weird that when you look at MLS this year and you look at the teams that are in the top 5 on each side of the spectrum, they tend to have very definable styles, but more importantly, they're not living and dying by their DPs. Right. And there are a lot of teams that are below those standings that are struggling, that have, you know, more marquee players. So do you think that Messi could potentially just be one? I mean, look, he's Messi. He is the greatest. You want him in your locker room. You don't care. Like, he could have 2 broken ankles. You're still going to sign him, you know, because you want him around. So just kind of wondering, you know, long-term as an ambassador, could we have scored a better ambassador at this stage in their career than Messi?
See, yeah, I don't think so, because I'm a Messi guy, right? I love the way he plays. I love what he can do. I think what he can bring, I do think Messi will put in the work too. He's not a guy that's going to come in and not put in the work. And this league is, I mean, you guys know the league. You've watched every St. Louis game, I'm assuming. I mean, St. Louis is
we have a
winning
team?
because they're talented. They're talented, but they have an identity and they know how to win, and everybody is so bought in. And
Yep.
I think Messi will. I hope he comes into Miami and gets those guys to all be better players, right? And can he make them better just by his presence and get them to buy in and work? And I think he will. And that's what I think is different about Messi, is that I do think his team will reap the benefits of him just being in the lineup. But I do think he'll set the example. And when your best player is your hardest worker, that's when results happen. And Messi's not going to take his foot off the pedal.
Well, and I think it will help also with the coaching departure, the release of the coach, the English coach. They kind of have a clean slate. They have an interim guy, and what I think his name's Javier. He was assistant coach there. So maybe this was all timing. Maybe they knew something before he's actually committed. But he's coming in, and I would imagine with his pedigree and his age and his accolades and his know-how, if you will. I mean, is he the next Jackie Moon? I mean, is he not the player coach? I mean, is he going to go in there and be like, this is how we're going to play?
Jackie.
We're going to buy in, you know. I mean, really. I mean, he got DeAndre Yedlin on the team. He works his ass off. So he's a guy that you can plug in and work hard. I think with the clean slate, it could be a perfect, just a perfect scenario for an entry of Messi into that team format.
Yeah. So I want to shift backwards a little bit, Kevin. We know, those that know you know that you came from Chaminade. You played high school there. Where did you grow up here in the area, if you don't mind?
I grew up in St. Peters, Missouri, and actually went to Assumption Grade School and
think about what that place is kicked out. Assumption Grade School.
I
don't
know. I mean, I'm sure you're about to tell me.
Well, Josh Sargent.
That's not what I thought you.
Sargent for sure.
Yeah.
But
So here's where I'm going with it. We can get into Jared's love affair with everything east of the Missouri or west of the Missouri River in a second. But I mean, you're a homer. You're a St. Louis kid. You grew up watching the Cardinals. You played soccer, youth soccer here at the clubs, and you played at Chaminade. But what I'm really curious about, and I ask most of our St. Louis guests, when you found out, when you knew that the rumors were true, that St. Louis was going to be awarded the expansion team, when you found out who the ownership group was and you knew who was going to be involved and you started seeing the early chess pieces fall into place, talk a little bit about spending your life with the game, basically, and now your hometown not only scored the long-awaited team, but is doing what they're doing. What does it mean to you? What does City SC mean to you as a St. Louis kid? Talk about those early feelings.
Yeah, it really was like, I think we all kind of had that same emotion of just like, it was due. It was time. It was St. Louis deserved to have a team. It's a soccer city. It's
capital.
Like you said,
It's called capital.
It's the capital, man. It's the Mecca. It's the Mecca. So for us to get a team, the passion, and just the amount of history that the city has, being able to talk about it with other and planning events around the city games. What I do with my family now, like we're going to Florida, like I said, in a couple weeks, and we're already planning where we're going to watch the city game, and that's just like, how cool is that? Just that little thing is like, man, we want to make sure we're somewhere on Saturday to make sure we're watching city. So to have that ability to cheer for a team and to have something that means so much to all of us, and I could tell by the way they were building it and the way they were talking, that I just knew, I felt like it was going to be special. I just thought they had a clear identity. They knew what they wanted to do. They knew the type of player they wanted. And I think Carnell, the type of coach he was, the system he came from with the Red Bull, I just thought he was the perfect guy. And I didn't know much about Lutz, but I just loved the way that he was able to, kind of let the chips fall, and he didn't want to have those crazy DPs. He has some good DPs, I'll tell you that right now, and they hit on those guys.
Well, I mean, would you say have you seen a better goalie in MLS in the past 10 years?
No, I might get in trouble for not saying my boy Roman Celentano at Cincy.
Dude, no, I know, but
No, I'm kidding.
no
Berkey's
offense
been-
to
he's
Roman,
been
but
unbelievable.
Berkey
Yeah,
is
no.
like,
He's been awesome.
yeah, the thing is like, kind of following up on this topic. We love talking to individuals like yourself. We love getting these stories out because we know, and we were kind of joking and alluding to it just a second ago, this isn't just a soccer city. We're more than soccer city. We know that. So what's cool is like, as you guys are all spread out literally all over the country, the loyalty and the understanding of this is not an expansion team. Yes, we are in our first year of playing within a particular standing list, but talk a little bit about your own experience and your feelings as it applies to, the club scene, the club teams that you've played on, your high school environment, and kind of the ghosts of Christmas past, right? And what that means to booing the team. What's your 2 cents there?
Yeah. So, I mean, just like I said, kind of getting to go to these academy events, so I get to recruit for a living and I love being at games and watching games, but, having obviously before it was St. Louis Scott Gallagher and I would, hawk those fields because I want to recruit players from St. Louis. It's just what I do.
You've done pretty well at that too, mind you.
Yeah. It's something that, I just I know what I'm going to get typically, and Coach Yeagley knows what we're going to get when we go to the St. Louis market. But to be able to have an MLS, team at those events that's representing St. Louis City and a team that's going to be relevant on the national stage, and teams, I should say, with the 17s, 15s, 16s, the product that they've put out, they're going to be competitive. And growing up playing for St. Louis Scott Gallagher at the time, and playing against Bush Soccer Club, and the rivalries were unbelievable, right? And you had that, but just the coaching right now and the events that these players get to play in, I mean, the notoriety and the ability to get seen is it's unbelievable what they've done with soccer in the country. And I do miss some of those Bush Scott Gallagher rivalries. I'm not gonna lie. I think those were pretty amazing, and some of my favorite games I ever got to play in as a youth player were, state cup championship, Bush Scott Gallagher at Sportport, and those were just some of the most epic games I ever got to play in, honestly. And but at the same time, what they've done with St. Louis City to be, on the kind of adapt and evolve as a soccer city, it's been monumental.
Let's talk about your love of coaching. I mean, because your story to me, knowing the little bit about it that I do, is mind blowing to me. So you clearly had a very successful high school career, club career. Then you parlayed that into a very successful player at IU, your alma mater, where you're coaching at, as most people know. So you graduate IU, communication degree, I think, and you go and you get a pretty nice job, and you're in a pretty good metropolitan area, and then you move to another one. You're working with AB in marketing, probably having a lot of fun at that age. Talk about that transition where your love of coaching that Real Colorado youth team, you just knew that this job is good, and coaching's where I need to be.
Yeah, no, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, I was was working right out of college for Anheuser-Busch. Got to travel the country, go to I went to the World Series, Daytona 500, Sundance Film Festival, Buffalo Bills home openers, South Carolina football games. So we got to travel the country and go to all these unbelievable events, and then moved out to Boston for a year, and then moved out to Colorado for 3. And I was out in Colorado working for Anheuser-Busch and also coaching a youth team. And I felt like I was always at my best. I'd work 8 to 5 and then coach from 6:30 to 8. Like 2 or 3 times a week. And I just knew I was like I loved when I was with my players, and I loved being in that environment and being around the game that provided me so much. And there was an opening as a volunteer assistant here in 2013.
What was the word volunteer? So you're 4 years into this AB career and you take the opening volunteer position. Do we need to go down the financial road on what that means to everybody?
Because
Holy shit.
This is an economics class too, you know?
Yeah. If we're getting into economics, I might fail that course. But,
go ahead. I didn't mean to cut in. Go ahead.
No, so yeah, I took I connected with Coach Yeggs, and I told him, I just, I loved coaching. I loved what I was doing, and I think I was ready to make it, I wanted to have it be my career. So he's like, hey, I have an opening. It's a volunteer coach. So AKA you're not getting a salary. And so I had to take a pretty big financial hit, move across from Denver to Bloomington, Indiana, and with my girlfriend at the time. And I knew she was the one when she followed me for a volunteer position across the country to Bloomington, Indiana. So
we were just at the Daytona 500 last year.
Yeah.
And now we're going to
wait a second, though.
Bloomington, Indiana for free.
Hold on a second, though. How many years were you with AB prior?
So I was in Denver for 3 and then Boston for 1. So it was about 4.5 years.
So if my math's right, that's approximately 96 cases of free beer that you would have got over that time frame. So when you left, did you have anything else in the U-Haul other than 94?
Man, it was a lot of Bud Light neons, in the U-Haul. So we had me and my now wife drove across and stopped in St. Louis, and I think she was like, where am I going with this guy that's the volunteer coach? So wait a second though, because did you stop in St. Louis or did you stop in St. Peter's? Because there is a difference between the two.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this, Kev.
We'll get into that.
I will say this, for me, working every day, going to a job that I'll just be frank, I'm not really excited to go. I'm envious of you because you took a chance at a young age to do what you truly loved, and with your success, and we'll get into that here in the episode. I'm proud of you. It's kudos to you for doing what you love. There's a lot of people that don't do it, and you took a chance and did it, and that's fucking dynamite.
Thanks. No, I appreciate it, and yeah, it was definitely. I was definitely worried at the time, and but I also knew like I felt like I could be good at this. I felt like it was definitely my passion, and like I said, Coach Eggs, took a chance on me as a young coach, and just tried to always work hard to impress him and make the program better.
Well, I tell you what, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break because that's a perfect stop, because we want to get into the old nitty gritty here in just a second. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to roll us out real quick. And when we come back, we're going to hear a whole lot more about state championships, national championships, talk shit on Kansas City, maybe some pizza debate, all that good stuff. All right? You good with that?
I'm down. I can't wait.
All right. Here we go. We're going to roll out with a little bit more Indianapolis. I know. See, the problem with Indiana music, let me just say this real quick before we go to break. Other than John Cougar Mellencamp, it is very hard to dig into the state of Indiana for tunes, because typically we can pick a city like, now Cincinnati was kind of funny because we went WKRP.
Well, they got Christmas, Indiana. Do some Christmas tunes.
That's not a bad idea. Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Yeah. Jackson 5.
Jackson 5. Nah, but that's Motown.
Or do a little Jasper, Indiana with Scott Rowland.
Oh, there we go. I like that. All right, so we're gonna roll out real quick. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna be right back with Kevin, people.
I'm Max, and I'm 9 years old. When I'm not playing soccer, jumping on a trampoline, or playing Xbox, with permission, of course, I listen to the Baked In podcast with Josh Allen. Josh talks to some of the most incredible business leaders in St. Louis. From Maxine Clark of Build-A-Bear to Gerard Kraft, the chief flavor officer for my favorite team, St. Louis City SC. There's something for everyone. If you are interested in the secret sauce of success, check out the Baked In podcast. Now, back to those old guys.
All right, we're back, people. I'm selfish with this tune right now.
It's a good tune.
It is
really
a good tune.
is. It's a good tune. You can't go wrong with it. What do you think?
Here we go.
Zach?
Take a listen, guys. Here we go. Tell you why too. Right. There we go.
I think he
Any
sounds like your
guesses?
brother.
Dana has a little bit of that kind of not really country guy with a country twang. Only that, I mean, this is Tyler Childers, right? Going to his concert on Friday night. That's why I played
You
it.
are?
Yeah. I missed out on tickets, and out of the blue, a friend was like, I have 4. I can't go. Want to trade? So he took some city tickets, and I took Tyler Childers. So gonna head out with the boys.
Nice.
Are you a Tyler fan, Kevin?
I don't know. I don't know enough about him.
It's pretty close to Indiana. They're actually just south of you guys, Kentucky.
Okay.
So
Should have known that then.
no. So we're back. We've got Mr. Kevin Robson from Indiana University, director of recruiting. Correct, assistant coach. What is the official title? When kids call the school because they want you to give them money, what do they call you?
Associate head coach / recruiting coordinator.
Ah,
I don't know any other titles he wants to give me right now, but that's what I officially got.
well, there's a lot of titles that could be way worse.
Logistics planner. You probably do a lot of logistics.
I don't know if I'd be good at that, but that's not me.
Well, as long as you're not bail money coordinator, it's
Not yet.
All right, here's what we're going to do. What I'd like to do at this point, I'd like to go back in time a little bit, because we've mentioned a little bit of your roots. You grew up in St. Peter's. I mentioned your high school alma mater. You mentioned Gallagher. Just give everybody a quick kind of trip down memory lane. Starting really with your Chaminade days, because you guys had two years at the top, and then let's get into the transition to IU. Talk about Chaminade days, those state titles, who you played with. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I got to play under some unbelievable coaches just throughout my life. Tommy Howe was my coach for about 10 years, and I mean, it was unbelievable having him and then Vader into Chaminade. I actually played at St. Dominic for one season, Jared's alma mater.
Oh, really?
So,
I never heard.
I did. So I played one season at St. Dominic and then transferred to Chaminade. After
The one
my
that got
freshman year.
away. The one that got away.
It was tough. I loved St. Dominic. It was such a good year, and played basketball and golf there. It was an unbelievable year, freshman year. It was so much fun. And but all my Gallagher buddies were over at Chaminade, and got to club soccer, and it was almost like I just wanted to be a part of that. I guess I was making dream teams before that was kind of a thing. I guess the big three or whatever you want to call it, with the Miami Heat and all that. So
yeah.
So we went to. I ended up going to Chaminade and playing under Vader, and we were fortunate to get there the first 2 state titles in school history, my junior and senior year, and
Wow.
that led me into IU and kind of from there. But
Who were some of the guys on that Chaminade?
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead and name drop a little bit.
So like our junior year team was pretty special. We had Danny Wynn, who played at St. Louis University, Alex Madison, who played at St. Louis University, Mo Benny, who played at St. Louis University, Kyle Hensey went to Stanford, Matt Hoff went to Harvard, Mark Twellman played at Rockhurst, Tim Toretta played at Butler, Aaron Thompson played at Butler. So I just rattled off our starting lineup, and they all Division I players. So it was a fun high school team to be a part of. Tim Calico was the player of the year our junior year. He ended up at SIUE. I think he transferred from UMKC possibly and back to SIUE. But Cooper McKee, another stud, he ended up at Stanford and then back at SLU. So
wow,
it was a team.
The who's who of that era, that's for sure, man. You guys had a hammer team. I mean, Vader had to just be licking his chops.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that was kind of like that was also the years in which there was transition in the high school scene where, prior to that, the previous quote next closest generation was really the big four. You had SLU, Vianney, DeSmet, CBC, that going up into the mid '90s, in particular in late '90s. I mean, they were juggernauts, and the Chaminade years and all of that was really right around that time frame in which things were kind of spreading out into other schools,
kind of changing of the guard.
Yeah, really. I mean, it really was. So you were part of that process. So and that's amazing. I love those stories because that's part of that foundation that we were talking about earlier. That St. Louis has, our team has an unfair head start that most other teams in the league, they don't get it. They don't understand the culture that we have here. When you talk about a team like your junior year, how many D1, started? 8, 9?
It was our entire starting lineup. Wow. And then
Yeah.
even one of our bench guys played at Butler. So, I mean, it was, and then going to Soccer Park and just watching, the Brad Davis, Kevin Thibodeau era at Chaminade, Tommy Dolan, watching them play CBC in front of 6,000, 7,000 people at Soccer Park. I mean, those are the games that I wanted to be a part of, right? And that's a big reason why I think I ended up at Chaminade.
Well,
you didn't like Duchenne in the mud hole in O'Fallon?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up that way because I am really curious your take. We talk about this topic often, the whole academy versus high school and everything else, and you, given your role as you're traveling all over the country. You're a recruiter. You're trying to bring kids to one of the, if not the most premier soccer powerhouse in D1 history. You see the environment of a showcase, the environment of even the tournaments like the GA Cup, et cetera, at the MLS Academy levels. That's different. It's different. The whole culture, the sidelines, all of that. What do you ever think about, what these kids are benefiting from in the current environment versus what they're missing that you experienced, that we all experienced?
Yeah, no, it's a great topic and one that we constantly talk about. And I brought it up a little bit earlier. How much exposure these kids get. Because I guess back in my day, when I'm playing in front of 6,000, 7,000 people and, in those games at Soccer Park in the state semifinals and the quarterfinals, if we're playing, Rockhurst or CBC or DeSmet, maybe they don't have that, but we wouldn't have, 200 coaches watching us at an event. So
right.
It's definitely a give and take. Everybody's path, we say it a lot, it's so different. I mean, my path was way different than the kids today. And I think that's so important to understand that. Because I don't think I would have traded my experience for anything. I really wouldn't have playing in those games. But also, there's a kid, your guys' kids, that I think the path that they're doing right now fits what they're supposed to do. And I think that's important to understand that,
Yeah, Pat Noonan said that almost the exact same thing. He really did, and it's kind of the same era, and it's coaches in our game like you guys that are that successful. It's eerie how similar those responses are.
Well, yeah, and let's kind of sit on the doctor's couch here for a second. And given the role that you have and the experience you have in dealing and engaging with all levels of really high-performing players, from the MLS academies to independent clubs, et cetera. Talk for a second to parents and specifically about, the experience of their, managing the team that they pick, the culture that they lean into. How important is that, and how much more attention should parents pay to not just focusing on who's the pinnacle team, what's my, where is my wish list jersey going to come from? Talk about all of that if you could for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at our roster, you just go to iuhoosiers.com and you'll see players from, this year we have 3 players from our incoming class that played high school soccer. So their path was different but we also have some academy players. So if you're good enough, I mean, we're going to find you. And we're gonna be at events. We're gonna talk to people that tell us where you're playing, and I'm gonna make a trip to St. Louis to come watch you. But in saying that, I'm not gonna be at a ton of high school games, right? I'm gonna be at the St. Louis City Academy games and the showcase in Dallas in a couple weeks. So if you are in a high school environment, it is going to be big that your current coaches are pushing your name out there, or you're attending our ID camp. You're just going to have to find a different way to get in front of maybe the coaches that you're looking towards. But I mean, to be honest, like we like having a little bit of a mix of high school players and academy players. We like having that balance, that mix, a little bit of different personality. We don't want to have the same type of player up and down our roster. So we think it's great when players come from different backgrounds. A player that plays high school, that plays basketball as well, that, also played. Yeah. We love that. We love that multi-dimensional player that was the star at his high school. But then also a guy maybe in the academy that necessarily didn't start and then started. So he had to deal with some adversity. And I think we really, do a really nice job of balancing our roster to get that perfect blend. And I think that's why
those stars
we've been successful.
Yeah, the stars on your jersey say you probably do a pretty nice job.
Go ahead, man. Finish what you're saying. Sorry.
No, we're good. Yeah, no, we have talent, and obviously, we go and find some of the top players in the country. But at the same time, I mean, we really do look for certain skill sets and guys that have ability to. Maybe they are the star on a weaker team and we're just like, man, that kid just knows how to win. Like, let's get him. And then, or a kid in the academy that's maybe not the star on his team, but man, he knows he's the glue that keeps that team going. So there's so many good players in this country. It's a lot of timing, and it's a lot about, what our team needs at that specific class in that moment.
So let's go backwards just a little bit then, because I want to ask you personally, because with the title of this show is self-explanatory, right? Soccer Dad Pod. Most of the people that we talk to are soccer dads or around the game, etc. But I'm really curious about your own personal story with your dad. And we've asked a few individuals that have gone down the path like yourself, where you're exiting out of your junior year, you just won state, that you're prospecting into your senior year at Chaminade. You're expecting to play beyond high school. Talk about your introduction to Coach Yeagley, the IU machine. Was that always your goal, and how did that relationship come about?
Yeah, so I didn't know much about the process. So, I mean, kind of those players out there right now that don't know a ton about the process, that's okay. I do recommend to, maybe start looking at some schools, maybe about your sophomore year, just maybe, venturing out and just seeing what college soccer is about, if that's your goal. But, I was fortunate enough to get seen. I think a lot of the alums at IU did some of my recruiting, right? So they're the ones that are calling Coach Yeagley and Coach Freitag at the time and telling them, hey, you need to take a look at this player in St. Louis that might have what it takes at IU. And they came to ESP to watch me play back then. I don't know if you guys remember that camp. It was kind of the mecca. I was lucky to get invited, and I remember them coming to watch me play. And I thought my parents did a great job of just helping and guiding me through the process. They didn't put a ton of pressure and just let me talk to the coaches themselves, or myself, I should say. And they were just there to kind of guide me and let me make a good decision. And I think they did an unbelievable job of helping me do that. But IU, I was lucky to get seen there at ESP, but like I said, the alums, I think, did a great job of pushing my name to IU, and every kid can get seen in a different way. And that was how I got, I think, to the front of the list at IU.
So we asked Pat this question, when it was time and they knew they wanted you, and you were sitting there, because I'm sure you received other offers or had to at least entertain other offers. Talk about the call or the letter, and who found out first, mom or dad?
Yeah, so I actually got recruited. It was kind of when the in-house visits were a thing. So Coach Freitag came to my house and gave me my offer in front of we were eating emos and toasted wraps. How St. Louis is that, right? And I remember it like yesterday. He came to my house and gave me an offer, and my mom and dad are sitting there. I remember my little brother across the table, he was at the table as well, and you remember it like yesterday, these things, right? And he gave me the offer. I didn't say yes right away because I did have I had Wisconsin and Creighton were two big ones on me that were pretty nice offers as well, and had to make a decision. So I didn't say yes right away, but definitely was really excited when Coach Fry gave me that offer. And then Coach Jerry Yeagley called me the second I got back from ESP, and I remember my mom yelling up the stairs, "Coach Yeagley's on the phone." It was pretty cool, and she woke me up.
Did she at least like cover the
I think
she just held it
the 25-foot phone cord.
Yeah, she should have just walked it up there. It would have been a snake.
I had a phone in my room, and she woke me up, and I had to take the call. And he said, in his deep voice, "I heard you did great in ESP." So it was fun. It was cool. Getting recruited, I always say it to kids, you only get recruited once, and it's a really cool thing. I mean, any school that wants you it's just a really cool honor. It shows, what your kids have done and how hard they've worked. And I think that's a really cool thing to get recruited. And I think kids should take visits.
So your years at IU were good to great. You were part of 2 national championship teams,
and I think he led the teams in those national championship run. He was the top assist guy.
Yeah, is that? Yeah.
I mean, how about that?
Yeah. So my freshman and sophomore years, I was a reserve. So I was playing behind guys like Mike Ambersley and Lee Wynn and Jacob Peterson and Ned Grabavoy, some Titans in the MLS, and a
couple St. Louis names in there too.
Yeah, I had to wait my turn, and I also think that's a big thing that maybe nowadays kids might transfer right away, or if they're not playing that second, and I think my patience did really pay off, and I think that was a big part of some adversity that I faced, kind of being the guy my whole life, and then coming into IU and struggling, honestly. I wasn't playing right away, and but I had to kind of do what I had to do to help the team win. And I was, I made some plays to help us win some games off the bench, and I had some key assists and
that's awesome.
And some moments. But it was a really tough time to not be the guy. And I think a lot of freshmen got to understand that especially if they go to some big time schools, even if they don't go to a big time school, like, you've got some men in these programs, that are, 20, 21, 22, and you're maybe 18, 17, 18. You're going to face some tough days. You got a lot going on in college.
That's well said.
Got to understand what's coming your way.
Yeah, that's absolutely well said, and for my opinion, which I don't know that anybody's listening to the show for my uneducated opinion.
He listens to every episode, by the way. Like,
my thoughts are that a program like yourselves, and we can sit here and name 20, 30 programs or whatever they are. They're getting a different class of kid and player, and I think it might be easier at some of those schools to really buy your time, buy into the system with the stars on the sleeves, and the amount of MLS guys that are in the league or just flat out pros. The transfer thing here has ruined all of college sports, not even soccer, because it's giving the kids a mentality that if it gets tough,
leave.
I'm going to leave. And I guess there's a reason to transfer, and there's probably situations where it makes sense, but there's way too many situations, in my opinion, that kids are just flat out picking up shop and leaving because it's a little tough. And I think that's really where the parents come in. And I hope to be a parent like that one day if I have the opportunity, because I know for my situation, and I can probably speak for your situation, knowing your family, those calls home in your freshman and sophomore year, I mean, your parents weren't going to take no shit. No, you're not going to quit. No, you're not going to go anywhere else. Even if you had the option, you're going to sit there, you're going to work your ass off, and you're going to prove yourself. And being able to tuck tail and run, and oftentimes it's maddening to me.
Yeah, so I guess the question is this then: the transfer portal for you. Do you have? Because obviously, Jared's right. It's completely changed the landscape of the game. Because so many programs are. Everybody wants to win. A few are expected to win, and then there's another layer of elite few that win or see ya. It's one of those things. So how has the transfer portal kind of shifted and adjusted your own strategy from the here and now versus that character culture building blocks that IU has really been built on?
Yeah, no, it's tough, right? Because I mean, we played a team like Syracuse in the national championship game, and they had 6 transfers on the starting, and so they built a team straight off of transfers. Now, there's nothing. That's just the way they did it, right? And so, yeah, we have to balance that. We really do, because is the 18-year-old freshman ready to go, or is the 21-year-old transfer from school B better than him? He probably is, right? So the transfer might be better, but is the freshman the guy that is going to buy into the program and be more ready? So you have to balance that. And I would be naive to tell you that we're not going to use the transfer portal. I think it is important that you look at all your options and understand so you can stay competitive and stay at the top, because you need good players to win. I'm a better coach when I have better players. I know that. So it's difficult to understand, are we going to go the transfer portal, or are we going to take the 18-year-old freshman who's more ready to play that year? So it's a constant battle with that within our program, and our kind of how we want to build it. Right. And, we err on the side of the freshmen and building them and going with the guys that we've developed, but we also need to look at that portal.
Well, yeah, it's that's a hot topic question or topic for so many. So I don't think there's an answer. I think NCAA, I think they got out in front of themselves with it and didn't really think about kind of the role that culture and character and development, how that goes hand in hand with the college experience itself. So neither here nor there. It exists. It is what it is. So here's what I want to do, though. I want to totally take a left turn here, because I have to assume that there are a few crowning achievements in your life. Number one, you got the girl and she was willing to drive across the country with you, right? Number 2 would be your 2 children, correct? How old are your kids?
4 and 6.
4 and 6. So those, I'll make those 1A and 1B. But number 2, a big number 2, has to be your head coaching experience at TST. And
it was fun, man.
And why did you guys not win? Come on. I mean,
yeah, we lost. Yeah, so I'll take the blame. The head coach. It's nice being, the assistant here, and when we lose, Yegs should have done this, but when we win, it's like, man, Roby recruited some good players, so I'm in that win. But TST, man, it was me on the hot seat, and man, there were so many substitutions. It was a lot to figure out. It was fun.
Well, let me
blast.
Let me do a quick rewind here. For those that are listening, TST is called the soccer tournament. I know Dempsey and a group of other investors, organizers came from the basketball world, put this thing together, and it was a 7v7 tournament, 32 teams that ranged from the Hoosier Army, which talk about the requirement of that, though. It had to be, they had to be affiliated with the team, ex-players, but they had to be so many years out from playing. Is that correct? What were some of those little rules there?
So the only thing, we were the only ones that put the rule in, and we literally just said you had to play for Indiana. So the only guy that we had that did not play for Indiana was Josh Gatt, but he signed with us. So he just bypassed college to go pro. But everybody else on our roster wore the IU jersey at some point. So it was pretty cool. We're the only team there that was a strict alumni team. It was nothing but IU Hoosiers in that on that sideline, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, because you guys were I believe you were the first game on Peacock playing Dortmund. Is that correct?
Dortmund. Yeah.
So I remember turning that thing on, and I'm like, oh my God, how is this gonna go? The field is a weird size. The goals look like, somebody forgot the real goals. Let's bring out the pugs. It was this weird thing. But the game started, and you're looking at the Dortmund squad, and the announcers are talking about the players that are on the field, and you're like, this is really weird.
How about the punch out left-footed volley? Another St. Louis guy. I mean, that goal was great.
Ponch has still got it, man. He was one of my favorite guys to coach. Talk about a guy that just showed up to work. That guy, you could put him anywhere on the field and he'd be ready to go. So, but what a goal, yeah. And TST, I mean, how the atmosphere there, the amount of energy and time that organization put into that tournament was. Our guys had an absolute blast playing in that. I think next year there's just going to be a wait list to get into that thing.
Yeah.
So it was really cool that they allowed us to be the college team representing
on the ground.
floor.
I got to ask, were you invited back for next year? Because you guys,
they already said we're back. So
sweet. Okay.
They said we were one of the highest viewed teams in the tournament, like via Peacock and YouTube.
Nice.
That they had.
Okay.
So.
Well, we're partially responsible for that.
Yeah. Thanks,
and I know that on the rosters there are social media influencers and content creators. I believe that's what we do, Jared.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've got red shirts. Now, does the
podcast Horizon?
Yeah. So does the content creator have to have had an offer from IU or played there, or can we be kind of the audible? Because we'd love to be part of the team. We're Hoosiers, right? Yeah. We are literally Hoosiers.
I'm a flat-out Hoosier. Kevin knows.
People don't understand what a St. Louis Hoosier is sometimes.
Yeah.
Hoosier, so,
hey, Zach, you had a coaching question, man. Why don't you shoot that question?
Yeah, my question really was about you are always identifying talent, right, Kevin? You're always looking at these players. You're always looking at their families. Have you been able to start to discern talent for coaching? Meaning, have you been able to see within your teams that you've coached for the last 15 years, those that could be good coaches? And can you talk about kind of the legacy of Yeagley and the coaches that have spawned from him?
That's a good question.
For sure. Definitely, like, I do look at players now and I'm like, yeah, he could be a coach, or, he has the temperament or the knowledge of the game or the, just the ability to love the game and understand it and to be able to describe what's happening on the field. As a coach, you got to you might see what's happening, but you got to also be able to tell people what you're seeing, or else they're not gonna, you're not gonna be able to coach, right? So, looking at my roster, I do, because if I do run a program one day, it'll be like, who could be my assistant, right? And you're always thinking about that as an assistant. So, and you would like it to maybe be a former player that you've coached, just kind of like Coach Yeagley has, on his staff right now. He has 4 players that he coached on his staff right now, because Coach Yeagley coached me, he coached Tanner, he coached Christian, he coached Jeremiah. Well, so that's pretty cool. It's all IU Hoosiers here.
Is that something, do you think that, and here's where I'm going with this, because in baseball, professional baseball in particular, I mean, there's an oddly large percentage of Major League Baseball head coaches that were catchers. And that makes total sense. They literally control the game, call the game. They see it all, right? Soccer's a little bit different in so much that it's so fluid. What are the kind of like mental characteristics, from a coaching standpoint that maybe that you're evaluating or you're looking for from players? What do they do on the field that are things that, to a kid listening, that, look, you're not going to skip playing and you're going to be an old man coach, but what are things that the coaching values that you see in players that you look for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the easiest one and one that's harder to get every day or see every day is that leadership piece. And can you put guys in right spots? And obviously another St. Louis drop, but you guys had his dad on. But the Mayer family, I mean, you talk about guys that just naturally have that, and they would be unbelievable coaches. I don't know if they will. They might go into the finance world like their dad, but I mean, talk about guys that just would have a perfect knack for coaching, because Jack, Joey, and I'm sure Josh coming in, I mean, they just know the game. They watch film as a family. It's just like, what, these kids are watching film. That's something I wasn't doing as a young 18, 19-year-old, but those guys just know what they did wrong. They have a hunger to get better. And so the Mayers, I think right off the bat, just because of the leadership and the way they carry themselves, I think people instantly respect what they're able to do and bring each day. And they would be right off the bat would be awesome coaches.
That's a great answer. Talk about a little bit, because Mr. Mayer on our show you listened to, you said he had talked a little bit and referenced IU's pedigree and the type of player that IU and the old Yeagley and now the son Yeagley and you guys as a staff, you guys are reaching out and trying to get in your program and surround yourself with greatness. It's no mistake. It's no secret. Everybody that's in this game knows that the players that go to IU, not only are they good players, they might be better humans than soccer players. Speak on that a little bit on what the goal is as an organization to get after those type of people, and how do you find them, and how do you get it right with such a high percentage?
Yeah, and thanks for the compliment. Yeah, that was. I mean, to be fair too, we don't always get it right. We'll definitely miss here and there, but the Mayer family. I'll tell you right now. I've been recruiting since kind of taking over the recruiting role in 2016. Was my first class. AJ Palazzolo was probably my first recruit, and another St. Louis guy. Love AJ. We'll go to bat with that kid any day of the week. But the Mayer family and Jack, I would say, was the most important recruit I've ever gotten here at IU. That we've gotten, Coach Yeg and I. Just the residual, but the fact that what he does and what he did for our team in 18, 19, but what he's done for the program and how he speaks to other players. I mean, Jack was recruiting other players to come without us even asking. He would call up players in the academy and be like, hey, come to IU. And I just think our recruiting's taken another step forward after we got Jack. And that's not even saying about his brother. We didn't even know about Joey at the time. We didn't even know about Josh, but we wanted Jack so bad in that 2018 for that 2018 team. And he came in and started right away, and we got to a Final Four. And Jack was just he's a coach's dream, and having that whole family part of our program has been it's changed our program. Honestly, it has.
So who's recruited more players to IU over the past 20 years, Yeagley or Ken Godat?
Man, Kenny Godat, he is the ultimate alum. He's probably the reason why I got here, because he, like I told you earlier, I mean, the alums recruit for us at times. They're the ones that are pushing players in our ears, and how bad they want to be in those Final Fours and meet us down in Cary to celebrate and try and win titles. And there's nothing like being in Final Fours, and the program just rises in those moments, and it's what you want to be in. It's why you coach, why you play, why you want to come here.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, and I know you also have two little ones at home waiting for some. You got like frozen par bake emos in the freezer there. I mean, how do you get your fix?
I would love emos. I mean, my son he doesn't eat a lot, and he just destroys Emo's pizza. It's unbelievable. Like, I don't know what's in it, but like I told you, he doesn't eat a lot, and he destroys Emo's when he comes home. It's
That's awesome.
Hey, tell your sister Katie I said hi. I haven't seen her in a long time, and she's awesome.
She's a great girl. I definitely miss being in St. Louis. I try to come home as much as I can, man, for sure.
She was a good athlete herself.
She was an all-state softball player. She could mash the ball, man.
Yeah, she could.
That's awesome. Kevin, thank you for your time, man. This has been a blast. We really appreciate your stories, insight, etc. It's funny because, haven't seen you in St. Louis in a while, but I think we've seen you on every sideline in every city since the fall. So I'm sure we'll probably see you down in Dallas too, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a fun event. That's always a capper of the year for sure. And these players deserve all that publicity and being in those big games. There's nothing like it.
Are we planning for 105 degrees like every year down there?
I hope it's not windy. That's the big thing for me down there is if it's windy. But yeah,
I mean, if it's
it'll
windy,
be hot.
If it's windy, at least there's a breeze because there's no trees. There's nothing out there, and it's like you just watch the tents melt. It's horrible.
It's tough out there.
So we're gonna be recording a couple shows down there, actually, right across the street at that Jerry's Burgers and Beer, right there from across the main stadium. So
I'll come stop by and say hi to you.
Yeah, jump on.
Stop in, check it out. Everybody, hey, give the Indiana University soccer program a follow on Twitter. See what these guys are doing. Be on the lookout for next year's TST Hoosier Army because we're going to be a part of it, Jared. We are definitely going to be a part of it. We're going to find a way. I might sick Julie Softner on you and make her.
What a great lady she is. Louis was on our team, man. What a great. I mean, that's what they've done with the Living Legacy, and getting my dad into that was
That's
so
awesome.
cool that they asked my dad to be a part of that, and it was awesome.
Yeah, man. Hey, congratulations on all your successes. Good luck with the week, the recruiting here around the corner and the fall season. So we'll be in touch with you. And for the rest of you, we'll talk to you next time. And Zach, please don't wreck on your ride home, man. We'll talk to you later. Bye, Jared.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man.